So the topic is multicultural. We actually had a little bit of that conversation earlier today in the first half of our agenda, and I think it's great to have two practitioners here to help translate what the translation is all about, basically. So we're talking about multicultural audiences. Maybe, Yvonne, if you can help us first with that definition so that we're all on the same page. What do we mean when we're talking about multicultural audiences?
We're talking about 130,000 million people in the United States, representing Hispanics, African American, Asians, and other demographics. 130 million. I am particularly passionate and, of course, have been a voice for the Latino community. But 62 million of them are here in the United States, and of course, many more throughout Latin America. I wanted to show a graph, I don't know where the clicker is, as to why this subject really matters that goes along with that answer.
Yeah.
And that is, I've been going around the country in the last 7 years showing this chart to executive leaders. Anyone can take a guess what this is? I know it's the afternoon and kind of we're slow in processing our food, but this is actually the decline of the white population, and it has accelerated since the 1980s to now being only 50%, 58% of the total population. Now, I'm not here just to declare gloom on the majority of this country, but I'm here to tell you about an exciting opportunity, and that is that there is another graph. And this graph goes exactly the opposite. And that graph is that minorities are becoming majority. Because, as you can see, by 2015, we are going to reach what demographers call the majority-minority effect. And you might say, Ivan, that's fine, but that's 30 years from now. Well, that's already happening because anyone 18 years and older, it's already living in a minority-majority paradigm. Anybody has kids here older than, younger than 18 years old, or grandkids? I do, and so their mindset is set up to live in this world where they interact with diversity individuals. And in just a few more years, that trend is going to reach 30 years and younger. And so it has an impact. Many of you perhaps live in California, others live in Texas, right? Texas here? Or of course Florida. And you can see where the largest concentration of any one of these audiences are. And if you are in those states and you have a cause, you want to consider including them in your demographic. But most importantly is this chart, and with this I am concluding this point. The majority of the people, of the content creators in the Christian space, and today Nick started talking a little bit about this, focus on that bracket, right? If I ask you what is the average donor age of your organization, what are you going to tell me? Probably somewhere in that bracket. Your content is focusing on that bracket. Your systems, everything that you have is focusing on that demographic. But let me tell you that the opportunity lies in this group. This group is, it has the median age of anyone in the Latino community or the African American community or the Asian community falls within that category. I want to tell you one number, and with this I'm done, and that is that if you take the 62 million Latinos and you say what is the age most common among that 62, it's 11 years old. 11 years old. If you do the same thing for any non-Latino, what would be the age? Anybody want to take a guess? 58. Wow. So you see now where the future, but even more the present lies, because the 11 years old kids have parents. And they have parents that live within these brackets.
Amazing.
So how is your ministry adapting to this change? This is what we're going to be talking about.
Let's just see, raise your hands. If you have any sense, doesn't have to be accurate, but any sense, if your average age of your donors are in their 20s, would you raise your hand? Average age of your donors. What about 30s? Anybody in the 30s? 40s for your ministry. Anybody in the 40s? Yes, we've got one or two. 50s? 60s? Okay, the majority. 70s? Anybody in their 70s? You got some hands at 70. What about 80s? So that's so interesting, right? And I work with nonprofits also, same thing, where they're trying to lower that age. And you're saying multicultural audiences is something that we need to wake up to, right?
Absolutely.
Now, Felicia.
Hi.
You work with content and messaging and campaigns that are trying to hit those audiences that were on those charts.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? How are you doing it? What are you guys trying to do at your agency with this campaign?
Yeah, we'll start off by giving you a little bit of exposure to our work. My name is Feleceia, and like you said, I work on the He Gets Us campaign. Most folks know about us because of the Super Bowl. So some of you sitting here might be thinking, wow, that was awesome. Or some people might be thinking, stone her. I don't know. We got both extremes. I am here to tell you that I'm very much so a Christ follower, and I have the privilege of assisting with driving the strategy to reach spiritually open skeptics, which ironically has been an audience that has long been not paid attention to, it feels like, from the church. It feels like we talk to one another. So we're trying to not. We're trying to reach outside of the boundaries of the church to spread the love of Jesus out in ways that maybe we haven't done before. So multicultural is a huge part of the work that we do. We think very broadly about the people groups that we serve in our work. So just a little bit of a visual. If you haven't seen any of the work, I will show a quick ad here.
You're a giant who walks among us. You have carried me this far. Teach me to step over mountains. Love is deeper than the sky.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now, what I love about that, honestly, because when we think word association, multicultural, we initially think just translate everything into Spanish, right? Translate it into Korean, that kind of thing. And it's powerful images that represent the work here.
Yeah, and it also represents a broad number of communities. I just saw the research back on this ad that our team just completed. I saw it right before I got in here. And as it turns out, this ad has ranked the highest among the African American community. Being a black person myself, I can tell you why. And it's because we saw an image of a dad braiding his little girl's hair, which is not normally an image that we see projected on television, but we do experience that within our community. Often when we see images of ourselves on television, it's not that popular, it's not that positive, and it's not that nuanced. So having the folks that are familiar with these audiences in our work is really important. I wanted to include this bit of information because, like I said, many of you are probably familiar with our work from the Super Bowl. Ad Age, which is a very popular publication, asked every single advertiser in the Super Bowl to submit their numbers. Who is working on your projects? And most advertisers did not submit the numbers as to who was working on their projects, but our team did. And as it turns out, we were probably the most diverse team that contributed to the work that was seen in the Super Bowl. So we'll talk more about what this means for you all, but I did want to bring that up as something to note.
Yeah, the teams that make up behind the scenes, et cetera. That definitely makes a difference. So that's creative. Maybe Yvonne, you can help us. What are the platforms that are making sense in terms of reaching this type of demographic? What actually is working?
Well, I want to tell you about what works in the Latino community. Of course, social media, and that's why this conversation is relevant in this context. Anywhere from Facebook, Twitter, or actually Instagram, TikTok. I mean, we are very heavy consumers of digital content.
And then is it all Spanish or is it English? Is it both?
Yeah, great point. It really depends. Again, it requires some thinking and some strategizing and segmentation. But I wanted to share with you here some couple ads that we have been doing for some of our clients, and the spirit of showing you precisely what Feleceia was talking about. To your question, this is an ad that was run on Facebook for the Angel Tree campaign. It's a Prison Fellowship program. You can see on the left the original creative in English. I don't have time to show you that, but I want to show you what the Spanish ad looked like.
When a parent goes to prison, families are torn apart, and all too often children are left feeling lonely and ashamed. With Angel Tree, you could be the hands and feet of Jesus to hurting families in your community who have a loved one behind bars.
So this was run on Facebook, and it was run to their Facebook audience, Prison Fellowship audience, because they didn't have and still don't have any really specific channel dedicated to Hispanics. I don't know if you noticed, voiceover is in English. The text on the screen, part of it is in English, part of it is in Spanish.
Yep.
But this is the best performing ad that they had. And we also done ads in Spanish, and we also done ads in completely English. The point is that within their existing audience, there are people that have an affinity, that have a connection to this ad. And that's likely what you can experience in your own ministries. People are following your content, but if you create something that is more appealing to their cultural interest, then you'll have their hearts. This one, quickly here, what the stats of this campaign is. We secure the very first Hispanic donors for digital donors for Prison Fellowship through this campaign, and you can see the engagement was high through the mobile and even using credit card, which is also a myth that Latinos don't have banking accounts and that sort of thing. So same thing could be in terms of campaigns we done for North American Mission Board. In this case, they didn't have anything in Spanish, and they wanted to start a channel communicating to their the Spanish church planting pastors. And since we launched in September, we have 46% engagement. This is another campaign for the Lutheran Hour, promoting their apps, and also the very first ever year-end campaign on a ministry that was running for 40 years in Spanish, but they never actually solicit money from their audience, and it was very successful. So this just kind of hopefully gives you a picture. Digital works, and it could be in English, in Spanish, sometimes in Spanglish, as we want to call it.
Yeah, I don't want 200% increase. I don't want 40,000 more clicks. This is fantastic work. So you guys, you run agencies and you're helping clients and like this. Maybe Feleceia can help. What is the process of actually building a multicultural campaign that's effective? Like, is it different than traditional English-based campaigns? What's the process like?
Not necessarily. I don't think it's so different at all. The first step is to pay attention to the people that you want to reach. It seems so simple, but we serve a relational God, and we have a relational Jesus as an example. Jesus built relationships with human beings, all kinds of human beings. And that's something really important for us to be aware of. So part of the process is relationship building. It's understanding the people that you want to reach and starting to cultivate some relationship there. For us, it began with our team. It began with making sure that we had a team that was representative of all the folks that we wanted to reach. So multiculturalism in marketing begins with putting the right people on your team, folks that represent maybe the wide breadth of people that you want to reach, but also people who have the expertise that can help you to move forward. For us, it's having the right people on the team. It also does involve some research. Research is going to be different across the board. For us, with He Gets Us, we have researchers that contribute to the work literally every single week. But that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. it does mean that you should start somewhere doing some research. So research and people, those are the 2 points that I want to make sure that you walk away with if you don't walk away with anything else.
Yvonne, do you have anything to say about that too? I think that's a very, for organizations that have not embraced this type of creative and this type of strategy, it's really brand new. It feels scary at times. What other suggestions or advice do you have?
Well, and I wanted to point to this, actually another example, and I'm trying to show you examples in the spirit of hopefully being more inspirational to you. This is a Bible that we have the privilege of working with for one of our clients, Dr. Gene Getz. But this Bible originally was created and published by Lifeway in 2011. And I think the work that we went to do with this Latino version, it described what Feleceia just said. We did not just, we were not, thankfully, the client trusted us enough to say, we want this Bible to really have a strong appeal to the Latino market. We don't want just to be a translation.
Right.
And so we were able to do research, focus groups, prototypes, and all kinds of things to figure out, yes, we want to preserve the teaching, the sound theology that Dr. Getz communicates in his Life Principle Bible, but package it in a way that the Latino community will accept it and will buy it, because for every Bible that is going to be bought, but another Bible will be given away to a pastor in need. And so here today, I'm going to show you what this Bible became in Spanish. It is going to be released in just a few months, September. It's a process of 4 years. You can see the colors, the branding, the typesetting. It's completely different in the spirit of not just being creative, but all has been tested and proven and validated by people in our community, so they have a voice. And in terms of staff, Dr. Getz doesn't have a Latino team per se, or a multicultural team, or definitely would not have the budget to hire a big brand agency like Feleceia comes from, but they partner with us, and by doing so, we have become essentially their arm that is reaching this community. But we have direct communication with the board, we have direct communication with their managers, and there's a spirit of collaboration that is tremendous. And I just want to show you a little clip of a video.
En el principio usé la palabra maravillar. Pude usar otra, asombrar, porque a Lucas le gustaba. La utilizó a lo largo de su carta a Teófilo en su Evangelio. En Lucas 2:16. Fueron a toda prisa y encontraron juntamente a María, a José y al recién nacido acostado en el pesebre, y después de verlo dieron a conocer lo que se les había dicho acerca de este niño. Ese mensaje sobre el niño comenzó con el ángel y luego con el grupo de ángeles, luego con la experiencia de estar ahí en Belén, y al irse dieron el mensaje.
And the reason I show you this clip is because also there's excellence in the dubbing. And we have Michelle here who, and her team, who has worked with us to do it. The reason is, this goes to the point of what Nick was telling today, right? About the faithfulness and the accuracy and the art behind. There's 300 hours in this Bible that makes it very unique. But the point is that yes, all of that content can be translated. Thankfully, we have artificial intelligence that is helping us, or even multitude, like Nick was saying. But at the end, it's also about engagement. And to have engagement, you have to have that strategic process that starts absolutely with research and with information.
Yeah, I love the tangible examples of small and big. Feleceia, do you have any other examples what other brands are doing in terms of engaging and being effective for this stuff?
Yeah, so I work on 2 accounts at Lerma. I work on He Gets Us, and also work on The Chosen as well as a brand strategist. I do less on The Chosen, so disclaimer there. Ask me more about He Gets Us. But we integrate that same process throughout the work. So whether we're working on something small or large, you'll see that same process integrated. We also integrate that work into social and in web content, and we also work really hard to make sure that our language is nuanced. One of the things that I wanted to point out earlier, and just to make sure that I said, is that sometimes when we enter into the work of this multicultural conversation, we all come in with our own selective biases. Everyone does. We come in with our own cultural biases and often assumptions about the way a culture or a people group might do things. So whenever we come into the work, if we want to do that with integrity, it's important for us to have people that understand the context so that we're not offensive. It's easy to be offensive if we don't understand the breadth of how a culture operates with certain things. So I wanted to make sure that I say that.
There was a conversation I had recently with someone that works in your lane, and basically said the term was seer, S-E-E-R, like a guide, like a Sherpa, like having someone who's experienced, who's been down that path before is so valuable when you're trying to explore this for the first time, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is great. You guys are doing some fantastic work, some from big brands and all that kind of stuff. And again, there's a lot of organizations here that are starting to think about it, or maybe you're here and you're ready to go back and challenge the notion of, hey, maybe we just don't do the same thing over and over again. Maybe we're looking at the charts. Maybe we need to take screenshots of Yvonne's charts to bring back for conversations. I guess on a practical basis, what are the expectations if you're starting for the first time, if you haven't been doing it, if you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars for He Gets a Super Bowl campaign and beyond, what are those first fruits that, right? We all have to become advocates and champion it inside our own organizations. What can we actually expect in terms of results and impact and efficacy when we start that? Maybe you can start first, and maybe Feleceia, you can help as well.
Pick a campaign. Everybody here has something that is going to do on a calendar year, and what we encourage you is to choose that and infuse it, culturalize it with the Latino flavor. I like to say when I talk to my clients, I'm sure Feleceia will say, perhaps others, but I would say pick a campaign, do it, and go through the process, this process that we just described. Do it intentionally, okay? Do it strategically, and run it, and then see what you learn. You might not gonna get it right, but you will learn things. If anything, you'll learn that it is possible and it's doable, and if anything, it's going to really create a new enthusiasm in the team, because we have seen this. We've seen it with many of our clients that they said, I've been doing this in Spanish for, with my Spanish team alone for, the last 20 years. And then for the first time, I can integrate, I can have a dialogue, I can talk to the other side. It's the same ministry, the same cause, but there was no integration. So do it, and you'll see a difference.
As we close, it just reminds me of a conversation I had with my kids recently. And, I'm part of the older generation that they see, right? And I always, in the past, have referred to myself as a Korean American, as one of the minorities here. And I remember a year or two ago that my daughter's like, no, we are not minorities. And it might be a little bit PC, but we're people of color.
Yeah, sure.
Because she said, and this is what's interesting to me, is she said that the way everything is changing so rapidly in our country, we are no longer statistically become minorities.
Sure.
And I think the fact that the young people in our country see that reality so crisply in their eyes, in their experiences, when older generations, where we are the leaders of these types of organizations and ministries out there, I think it's something to really take hold of, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I have my last little thought that I want to make sure that I offer. My one request of you is that you check your heart before you enter into it.
Yes.
If your desire is to move into the multicultural space because you see the decline of a dominant culture, then that's not enough. That's not enough. That's certainly a part of it, but that's not enough. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, why is it that we have to talk about this? Why is it that we have to develop strategies to reach everybody that are in our communities or in our cities? So I would ask you first to check your heart and to ask the Spirit to help you to move into this work with really good intentions, with relational intentions, with the desire to bring folks closer together than further apart.
I love it. Thank you for that ending thought. If someone here wanted to get in touch with you and have the conversations, I'm sure you're here for the rest of today, but even tomorrow and beyond, what's the best way for them to get in touch with each of you? Would you offer up some, is it your website, an email? How do we get in touch with you guys?
You go first.
The easiest way to get in touch with me is my husband's right there, so he normally knows how to find me. Feleceia.com is my personal website, and I can introduce you to the folks at Lerma if that's something that you're interested in. And some of you all started following me on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Those are great places too. So,
Awesome.
Hey Felicia on Instagram and Felicia something on LinkedIn, probably Wilson on LinkedIn.
I'm not going to tell you where because I want you to go to my booth and get these cute little bags. In it, you'll find my contact information, but also some Latino goodies that you will enjoy.
Hey,
Our booth is there. These are handmade, okay? And it has Latino goodies. There's only 50 of them, so go get it. And that's it.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Yvonne. And if you guys wanted some of the slides, please, this is the opportunity to take them back, share them via email, have a discussion with your team members. Text our number, 77007. And if you text the keyword multi, you can get all the slides and the creative. I think even he gets a sample we will send as well. So get on your phones, pull it out, 77007 with the keyword multi, and we'll make sure that you get all those resources. Thank you. Let's give it up for Yvonne and Feleceia.